Hello, boys and girls. It's story time again. Do you remember last week's story? That was all about the Gruffalo. And do you remember what that clever little mouse did to make everybody afraid of him? That ultimately even the Gruffalo was afraid of the little mouse. And something that the clever little mouse said throughout the story was, "Silly old thing, didn't you know there's no such thing as a Gruffalo?" Do you remember that? Try saying it with me. Silly old thing, didn't you know there's no such thing as a Gruffalo? Okay, so this week we're going to hear a story about Courtney. Courtney is a lovely old dog. So let's look at the first picture of a mummy and a daddy with the baby and two children asking them a very important question. "We would really like to have a dog," the children said. "Our house would be much better with a dog. The dog would guard the house and it could play with us. There are lots of lovely dogs at the dog's home. Can't we please have one?" Dogs need feeding and walking," said Mummy. "And they make a mess everywhere," said Daddy. "We will walk the dog and feed it, and we will clean up the mess. Please, can we?" "Oh, very well then, if you must," said Mummy. "Make sure it's a proper dog, one with a pedigree." Now, a pedigree means a good family background. "And remember, you'll both have to take care of it." The children looked at lots of dogs. Can you see? 6 different types of dogs. But none of them seemed to be what they wanted. "Have you a dog that nobody wants?" they asked the man. "All the dogs we have seen will find homes easily." "We do have a dog called Courtney," said the man. "Nobody wants Courtney." "We don't know anything about him," said the man. "We don't know where he came from. Nobody wants him, and he's an old dog." "We want Courtney," said the children, and they took him home. "What on earth have you got there?" said the parents. "Why didn't you get a proper dog? He's old and he's a mongrel, not a pedigree like we said." "But Courtney's lovely," said the children. "Well, it's getting late now and you must be going to bed," said Mummy. "Courtney will have to sleep in the kitchen." So there he is, asleep on a green quilt on the floor in the kitchen. The next morning, the children raced down to the kitchen to see their new dog. But Courtney was not there. "We said the dog was no good. These mongrels, you can't rely on them. Why on earth didn't you get a proper dog, as we said?" And there are the two children looking very unhappy. That afternoon, Courtney came back, dragging a large trunk behind him. Can you see that great big pink trunk? And there are labels all over the pink trunk to show where the trunk has been. And it's been to all these countries. So Courtney has been a very busy, well-traveled dog. He's been to Sydney, that's in Australia. He's been to the Plaza in New York. He has been to Osaka in Japan. And he has been on, he's been to Cairo. And he's been on the QE2, the Queen Elizabeth II great big ship. So he's had a very, very experienced life. Once in the house, he opened the trunk, put on a chef's hat and apron, and immediately began to cook a delicious meal. He changed into waiter's clothes and served the family round the table. What a clever dog. Courtney then played the violin while the family finished the meal. Out of his trunk, he took some things to juggle with to entertain the baby. And the baby is looking very entertained, isn't he? Sometimes Courtney would meet other dogs in the park, but most of the time he spent with the family. And there he is helping Mummy with her knitting, polishing a wooden table, mowing the lawn, vacuuming the carpet, watching TV with the children, and dancing with the little girl. One day, the house caught fire, and the family were outside waiting for the fire brigade to arrive. "Where's Courtney?" said one of the children. "Where's my baby?" shrieked the mother. Then they saw Courtney climbing down the ladder, holding the baby. Is there anything Courtney can't do? The fire was put out, and the house was soon repaired, and the family were able to carry on living as usual. And can you see in the picture that Daddy is watering the flowers, Mummy is hanging out the washing in the garden, the two children are playing ball, and what's Courtney doing? He's gardening with a great big garden fork. One morning they came downstairs and Courtney was not there. The children looked everywhere, but they could not find Courtney or his trunk. "We told you the dog was no good," said the parents. "If they're not pedigrees, you can't rely on them." The children went to the police station. "We've lost our dog. He's quite old with big eyebrows. He can play the violin, cook wonderful dinners, and he juggles to entertain the baby." I'll certainly let you know if an old dog with big eyebrows who can play the violin, cook wonderful dinners, and juggle to keep the baby amused is handed in, said the policeman. That summer, the family went to the seaside for their holidays, and they took a boat with them. The boat is strapped to the top of their van. Every day the children went out in the boat. The boat was always tied to a rock with a long piece of rope so it would not drift out to sea. But on the last day, something awful happened. The rope broke. They lost the oars. The boat drifted out to sea. "Somebody help us!" cried the mother. The boat had drifted almost out of sight. Then, suddenly, there was a tug. The boat was being pulled by something toward the shore. And there in the picture we see that the children are safely back to shore and they're hugging their mummy and daddy. They never did find out who or what it was that had pulled their boat back to shore. I wonder what it could have been. Who do you think it was? The end.